everybody, John with Owl, and we picked the perfect 115-degree day in Arizona to talk about washing your van. Now, this is something close to our hearts in Arizona because although we do get a lot of sun, we also get haboobs. No, this is going to stay PG-13. If you don't know what a haboob is, it means you probably don't know or don't live in Arizona or the Middle East. It's basically a giant dust storm. And whether it's dust or wind, our vans get dusty. So we have to wash them a lot. And there are plenty of ways to wash your van. Let's talk about what we've got here. I've got some do's and some don'ts. So let's start with the don'ts. Number one, and I guarantee this is something you have probably never thought of. And to the one person that did think of it, don't comment. You take cold water and you spray it on the windshield of a van that's been sitting in the sun, and it actually cracks. The whole thing shatters. Glass is brittle. And when you change its temperature really rapidly, you can actually crack your windshield. So if you're gonna wash your van, make sure that you haven't left it in the sun so it gets super hot and then you hit it with cold water because you can actually split the glass. Don't number two, don't use solvents. They can make it faster to wash your vehicle, but they also can ruin your vehicle long term. A lot of these spray guns are really handy for dispersing soap all over the vehicle, but you can buy special soaps that have solvents. They're called like no brush or something like that, and basically you spray them on and it's supposed to make just the dirt come off and then you just spray it clean and you're done. Well, fact of the matter is that solvent doesn't know dirt from paint, from wrap, from plastic. And so what's gonna happen is you're gonna spray your wheels, spray your vehicle with those products, and it's gonna eventually start to take off the paint, the plastic, damage your wrap. Long term, they're definitely gonna damage your vehicle. So do not use hands-free solvents. I like to plug this into the pressure washer, and this does not have a solvent in it. It is regular automotive paint, which is what, or paint. Don't paint your vehicle with a pressure washer. It is regular automotive soap. It's not dish soap, it's not hand soap, it's automotive soap. And you can plug this right in, and then you can go ahead and put soap all over your vehicle. Once you've done that, you can come back with some kind of mitt like this, but realistically, these are great for cars, not good for vans. You look at the height of this thing, they make these brushes, and you can plug them into hoses and all that stuff, and they're all fairly cheap, which sucks. But this one's actually broken. Normally it has an extendable wand, but you wanna get a brush that is kind of soft to the touch, not one with bristles. And when you have those bristles, you wanna make sure that they're nice and clean before you start, so I pressure wash the brush after each washing. All right, we got the van nice and soapy and ready to use the brush. I took a little bit of soap shrapnel, but I'm all right. You never want to brush a dry van, so you want to work quickly and in the shade, so you're not ever letting the soap dry on the vehicle. Because your brush is clean and we pre-wet it, we never want to use a dry brush. I'm going to start with the windows because the brush is clean, and then we're going to move on to the body. So we did this window with the brush. Again, coming back to this window, I would do this with a mitt with very light pressure. Or you can put a mitt or a towel over your brush. These windows are really prone to scratching, so you want to be careful with those. Not only do I wash the window, but I'll also take the wiper, I'll lift it up, and I'll run this over the wiper, and I'll clean where the wiper rests. It just makes sure that any sort of dirt or pieces of tree or whatever, any debris that's on the wiper gets wiped off so that when it does rain, you don't get a streak in your window. Now we get into rule number 3, and that has to do with pressure washers. I've got a couple of different pressure washers here. This is a tiny one. It's an electric pressure washer, and then down here on the ground is a pretty high capacity gas-powered pressure washer. And the main difference between a gas-powered pressure washer and an electric pressure washer, besides the extension cord you need, is the PSI. So I don't know what this goes up to, but typically the electric ones are going to be fairly anemic compared to the gas-powered ones, but you're not trying to take dirt and stain and weathering off of concrete. You're just trying to wash your vehicle. So this is less expensive, and you're probably better off with an electric pressure washer. Reason being, you can absolutely destroy your wrap and take paint off. Assuming you've done everything right thus far as cleaning your vehicle, there is still more to know. Most people dry their vehicles off with old towels. This is kind of a dedicated, high absorbent towel that you can use and then wash and so on. It really doesn't matter if you want to dry the vehicle off with a towel or a dedicated product. But what I do want to talk about is something that until a few years ago, I wasn't super familiar with. and that is an automotive air cannon. Isn't that awesome? What these do is you plug them in, and in addition to making you feel like some sort of like wind superhero, these are going to get a lot of areas of your van clean that you wouldn't otherwise be able to. And what I mean is, the front of this vehicle, especially with these bumpers and all of these vents and the fair lead and up under here and this, there's all kinds of contours. And if you were to try to wash this and get all in there, the brush does a pretty good job of cleaning it. But when it comes to drying it, getting in each one of these vents and going in here with your towel and then doing this one and then turning your back and then waters drip down, and it's just an absolute nightmare. So what I do is you fire up the air cannon, and it is one of the most satisfying things you will ever do. You obviously start at the top and you work your way down, and this obliterates the water. It is so high powered. They have battery powered ones. They're pretty good, but I go for the plug-in so I can get all the CFMs out of the nozzle, and it really works to dry off things like inside of your winches. And it's not as much of a problem on the Teton that I have here, but if you have Raptor liner or bed liner anywhere on your vehicle, anyone that's tried to clean bed liner with a towel or a paper towel or anything, what looks clean initially ends up with all kinds of lint and little leftover party favors from the towel itself. And you end up with a van that you get finished cleaning it and it looks worse than when you started. And so I avoid these on anything that has texture or Raptor or bed liner. So this is the kind of area where, sorry, I'm a little out of breath. This is the kind of area where I definitely would use the blower. On the big sides, I typically use a towel because it's faster. But when you have all these nooks and crannies, and I'm sorry if that's trademarked, but you're going to want to go in here with the blower. It's just easier to get into all these spots behind the tire, behind the wheel, but that's where the blower is really useful. On the big flat panels, you can just use a towel. We've covered the outside of the van. Now let's talk about the inside. If you have pets, this is a really good product. BioClean. This has got microbials and stuffs in it. Basically, if you get pet smell, and we become nose blind to a lot of this stuff. So when other people get in your van after not being in it, they might smell a lot of your dog or cats or whatever you have in your vehicle. You're going to want to spray this from time to time, certainly on a seat that a pet might sit on, because it's going to take any sort of biological smells, mold, mildew, wet dog, and it's going to basically convert it and eat it. And I don't know how it works. I'm not a chemist. But anytime you're putting something on the interior of your vehicle, test it on a small unseen spot to make sure that it doesn't stain things. Then if you do get a stain in your vehicle, and I like items that are multi-purpose. That's why a lot of our products have a lot of modularity, so you can use it for different things. This is something that I love. Again, we're not sponsored by anyone. This is Chemical Guys No Nonsense Invisible Super Cleaner. It's color and odorless. And I love this stuff for any sort of interior spots, carpets, pillows, even sneakers. I wore white shoes today, so you get something like this little spot of dirt on your shoe. I'm at my van, I got hiking boots on, I rub it, and it comes clean. So this stuff works on just about everything, and that's why I love it. I've never had it stain anything that I've put it on. So I keep this in my van for the seats, for shoes, for clothes, anything like that. Works really, really well. Chemical Guys, they also make this sprayer gun that I have and some pretty good soap. So not sponsored, but I've enjoyed the products I've gotten from Chemical Guys. Well, that about does it for all the do's and don'ts of cleaning your van. I'm out of breath, I'm hot, I'm sweaty. I'm gonna go back in the AC and drink some water, but hopefully you got something out of this video. I know, going into this, you think, what can I learn about washing a car? I've been doing it since I was little. But there's a lot of little tips and tricks to make sure that everything goes smoothly and you keep your van looking fantastic for years to come. So remember, like and follow and all the stuff YouTubers say, because we want to grow our community so that you can get notified and we have more videos that might help you out in your adventures. So like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you on a dusty road soon.